guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing good out there today, and welcome back to the channel. And I'm actually driving down to Joplin again this morning. If you guys saw my video yesterday, my dad's in the hospital. He's 86 years old. He had some pretty major stomach surgeries this week and got another one scheduled for tomorrow. So I've been driving back and forth every day from Springfield. It's like an hour and 15-minute drive. So just got a little bit of time here to do the video. And thanks everybody for all the well wishes yesterday. I think he's doing pretty good for his age. So gonna get down there and hang out with him some today. But today anyway, I wanted to do a quick video pertinent to what's going on this week, and that's the 51st Bassmasters Classic going on at Ray Roberts this week. And I sort of wanted to go over it a little bit, sort of give you guys my picks for this week, sort of let you know what I expect, to go down a little bit for the Classic. And first of all, looking through the roster down there, I don't know if you guys have looked through the roster of the Classic contenders this year, but to be honest with you guys, I don't know half of those guys that are in the Classic. I don't know if it's just the fact there's so many new people coming into the sport all the time, or there's so many different ways to qualify for the Classic, or I'm just not paying as much attention to what I used to. But literally, there's half of those dudes in the Classic that I have never heard of before. But I wanted to go through, I went through the list and everything, and then started analyzing the condition to give you my picks. But tournaments at Ray Roberts this week. It's just north of Dallas, Texas. There, it's about a 30,000 acre lake, and like in a lot of places around Texas right now, it's flooded out down there. It's very unusual conditions. The water is up 4 or 5 foot in the bushes at Ray Roberts right now. You got water visibility that's probably anywhere between 6 inches to 1.5 feet. So, that throws a little bit of wrench into the normal June patterns down there. Under normal conditions, I would look for there to be maybe, 3 or 4 of the guys in the top 10 that do pretty good shallow, because there's a ton of standing and submerged timber in that place, a lot of shallow cover. And then I'd look for everybody else to do good out off the bank. The typical June patterns, getting those fish grouped out on those point ends and sides, and that type of stuff. But to be honest with you guys, I look for this tournament, I would be shocked, and it's my prediction, I'll make my prediction right now. I think this tournament's going to get one shallow in the bushes, in the flooded cover. I just, with the water visibility the way it is, the water coming up, just the overall fact that a lot of the fish in Ray Roberts live a little bit shallower than a lot of the Texas lakes. I look for this fish to get one on some type of a flooded cover technique. So I'll give you guys my picks here real quick on it. I'll not in any one particular order, but I do have one that is a favorite out of there. But my first one is going to be, John Cox. You can't ever underestimate or underlook John Cox. I'm going to name off 4 guys here probably, and out of the 4 guys that are my top 4, is if I did give the odds of winning the thing, I'd probably put Cox on the lower end of it, because Cox is from Florida. He doesn't have a lot of experience fishing flooded cover being in Florida. He is one of the top shallow water anglers in the world, but a lot of the success that John has had fishing has been around that typical hard structure, not necessarily flooded structure, but the hard structure like lay down, shallow bank grass, docks, cypress trees, that type of stuff. But again, you can just never count him out, because he'll commit to that completely. Next guy on my list is going to be Steve Kennedy. Steve Kennedy is like, I'm fascinated by that guy, because like I said, back when I was fishing the top 150s, Bassmaster and FLW, for the amount of effort and time he puts into fishing, he is so successful at it. I mean, there are so many times, because they camped out, and he used to camp in the campgrounds we did, and a lot of times he wouldn't get out till like 10 o'clock in the morning. He'd come in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That would just be typical for him. Yet he'd always do great in the tournaments. He's one of the most, if not the most pure intuitive angler out there on the circuit. So, and he's a shallow water expert. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, the thing about Kennedy, why I put him on the list, is, you know, he's going to fish shallow, and he may have some oddball technique to catch those fish out of that flooded cover. I mean, he may have some, you know, wild big swim bait or something like that, and he can flip and pitch and throw other traditional shallow stuff too. But I put him definitely in that top 5. My top 2 picks for the tournament, they're going to be real close, you know, as far as who I think is going to win this tournament. I'll name them both at the same time. That's Matt Herron and Bill Owen. You know, they're great buddies. They work together. They share a lot of information together. And without a doubt, Bill and Matt are definitely in the top 5 of the best shallow water fishermen, you know, on the Elite Series Tour. And the reason I picked them is that they have a lot of experience in fishing flooded cover. I mean, especially Matt Herron. Matt Herron is one of the top flippers on the circuit. So is Bill Owen. They both understand how bass position and bite and what it takes to generate a strike out of shallow water. They're they're well-known anglers, but they're two of the most underrated fishermen in professional fishing. I mean, those guys are sticks, both of them. And, you know, I think Matt won. There was I can't remember what it was, some Toyota Texas Classic or something Bass had. Matt won that tournament on Ray Roberts several years ago. Not that has anything to do with this tournament, because the conditions are different. But the reason I picked Matt and Bill is the fact that they, under hotter weather, flooded cover, shallow water fishing, I just think that falls right into their wheelhouse. I'd be very surprised if one of those guys is not in the top 10 or doesn't come on the door of knocking to win this tournament. So that's really the 4 guys that I picked, you know, as far as that are on the top of the radar. It would be Kennedy, Cox, Lowen, and Matt Herron. But, you know, the thing about winning tournaments is, like, you can't, it's nearly impossible to predict who's going to win a tournament, because you never know who's going to roll up on the winning fish, because you just never know what's going to win this thing. Like at Ray Roberts, it could get won on a dozen different techniques of fishing flooded cover. Some guy might find him out suspended in the standing timber. You know, some guy, you know, may find some shallow secondary points that those fish are up using those shallow breaks, even in that dirty water, and whack them. I mean, you just never know. So from that standpoint, you can intellectualize who has the best chance based upon their strengths of an angler, but ultimately it just comes down to figures out the pattern, falls on the best area during that week, and on top of that, they land all the bites they get. You know, most every tournament that you ever fish, all the ones that I've, you know, come close to winning or won over my entire career, come down to landing those key fish. When you get bit by a quality bass, a 3-pound plus fish, depending upon what is quality for that lake, you have got to get that fish in the boat. You can't be dropping 5 and 6 pounders and win tournaments, and that's the difference between winning and not. So this classic's going to come down to, you know, not only technique area, but just maximizing your efficiency out there. So anyway, I probably won't get a chance to, you know, spend a lot of time paying attention to this week with, you know, Dad down in the hospital, but I'll definitely, you know, keep an eye on it on the evening and that type of stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys my picks. Hope everybody's doing good out there, and we'll talk to y'all later.